Hey guys, so I saw this and I'm like, what? So Digimon dabbles in a lot of themes, especially with like different religions or rather different cultures. Obviously you have like Devimon, Lucimon, Angemon, the Archangel type Digimon, the Seven Deadly Sins. But you also they also have like Japanese deities, as Digimon, Egyptian deities as Digimon. You have like stuff like Gaiamon. So it's not just any one religion, and Christian themes like what, like togetherness and helping one, helping thy neighbor, and like being a decent human being. I don't think that's restricted to any one religion. I mean, I personally believe all religions are bullshit, but if that's what they're going for, it's like, oh, togetherness and friends, and that's not really any one religion. That's you know, but let's see what they have to say. The EGAD, chosen for battle, Christian themes in Digimon Adventure. Since Digimon, this story time stranger. Huh? What exactly is it? Demi Devimon. You got Gomamon. You got Patamon. Exactly what is it? Lunamon, Tanamon, Agumon. Like, what's the game about? Greymon. Is it gonna be Parrotmon? Because every time you see Greymon, it's always attacking. Black Agumon, Black Gabumon. Agumon Warp Digivolve 2! Gabumon Warp Digivolve 2! Peak. As a cinema. Since Digimon Story Time Stranger came out, I've had people ask me about Digimon in general and how best to get into the franchise. Easy, you just start at the beginning. What better way for any franchise than to just start at the beginning? As in which season should they start from? As the TV show should go. Yeah, start from the beginning. I would recommend starting at the original show, Digimon Adventure, and preferably the Japanese version with English subtitles. Uh, I have nothing against the sub. It's just if I wanted to read, I would just read a book. But having to constantly, because they'll talk so fast sometimes that you're trying to watch the show, but you can't read everything that's going on the bottom. Why the Japanese version? Because they show them taking shits. Actually, we can close this out too. The tone of the Japanese version retains the original emotional nuance, and the seriousness of the story. Dialogue is also more mature and thematically consistent. Yeah. On the other hand, the English dub is infamous for adding jokes, puns, and pop culture references that dilute dramatic scenes. It often shifts tone towards comedy, especially intense moments. Not really, though. I mean, Wizardmon. There you go. Um, that was probably one of the most heartbreaking moments as a kid. Although I wasn't a kid, I was a teenager. But Wizardmon, and then in the third season, Digimon Tamers with Leomon, with him, they're trying to protect Jerry, and Beelzemon kills Leomon, and not just kills Leomon, because Leomon always comes back. He's the William Afton of fucking Digimon. No, but this time Leomon dies, and he stays dead because when Beelzemon kills him, Beelzemon absorbs his data. So he's not able to just go back to primary village and kind of be reborn. No, he's gone for good. Um but, oh god. Oh god, that scene though. Um so not all the Piximon after he was killed by Piedmon. So that's really not fair to say that they're like, oh, they're taking these tense moments and adding, because they're not. You know, there might be some, but when you think of all the like deaths, like Piximon, or like I said, Leomon, any of Leomon's deaths really, because he dies multiple times, or Wizardmon, it's impactful. Wormmon, I mean, so it's like I say, it's not really, it's not shifting like with Wormmon, it's not like they shift to something humorous. They don't. It hurts, you know. Moreover, the Japanese version focuses more on atmospheric and emotional resonant soundtrack, including iconic inserts like the like Braveheart and Butterfly. The English dub replaces most of the original with generic score and the Digimon theme, which is catchy but can become grating or repetitive over time. The Japanese version also preserves character arcs with subtlety. It explores darker themes like death, existential fear, and familial tension. Sadly, the English dub often simplified or censored those themes. In addition, the Japanese versions keep cultural references, naming conversations like honorifics, like San and Chan and stuff like that, and setting details like the Japanese setting intact. The English dub localizes heavily, changes names, i.e., Tai Chi to Tai, removing Japanese text and sometimes completely altering plot points. Finally, watching the Japanese version helps maintain continuity across Adventure 2, and later entries like Try and Last Evolution Kizuna, which were released with more faithful subs. Uh, the animation, the animation for the show was economical. Digimon Adventure was produced on a tight budget, typical of serialized anime at the time. That means there's a lot of static shots and reused transformation sequences. Yeah. Backgrounds are often flat, sparse, or looped, especially in the digital world scenes. And then there's like a freaking dialogue or audio mistake. Uh, some hang on, let me find it. Okay, so it's episode 19, and this is just weird, weird. Okay, so Edamon, and they're trying to escape Edamon. They're in this upside down pyramid, and Edamon does his dark network sphere or whatever, and we get this very, very odd moment.
Uh-oh, Matt! Huh? Well, so much for no...
Like what? Um, Biyomon over here. Like it shows Gabumon, and you can hear Gabumon talking, but then there's this other like little girl. It doesn't sound like Sora. It's not. So who the fuck is it? Um, you know. So, um, digital scenes, character motions are also highly simplified, and dialogue scenes rely heavily on mouth flaps and still poses. But then again, it's still better than story-wise, better than Pokemon. Like Pokemon, no one really seems to have any kind of character growth. Where then you have like Matt and Ty, they're constantly going through character growth. Everyone in the group has a character development. So unlike Ash, it's like, oh, I'll just use this Pokemon next time. Obviously it's not that simple, but it's more simplistic than Digimon. Even in the English dub, they have growth, which story-wise, it's a lot better than Pokemon. Um, but again, this was all economical because the series used its constraints strategically. Emotional beats often land through strong composition and lighting and not fluid animation. Much of the design was also driven by the show's motif, which means the digital world's surreal minimalism reinforces its alien logic. Moreover, the show's narrative pacing leans more on character arcs than battle scenes, letting stories carry where visuals economize. Overall, Digimon Adventure is a great case study in how low budget aesthetics can still support mythic storytelling, especially when paired with strong voice acting and music. Spoilers ahead. The story is the show story is about seven children from Odaiba, or Tokyo. They go on school camping trip, yeah, blah blah blah, and they get sucked into the digital world. Devimon. Um, the children are pitted against many threats. I mean, this is just, if you know what Digimon is. Piedmon and Apocalypse. Apocalypse was really, really cool. It's you know, it's a shame they didn't do more with him. I mean, they kind of did, but Magna Angemon, Gate of Destiny. Such a great move there. Oh, such a great move there. Um, the first arc of the show is structured similarly to C.S. Lewis's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and that the children arrive in a land under the oppressive hand of tyranny. They even meet with a noble lion, Leomon, who is voiced by Paul St. Peter. I believe you also might know him as a little character named Xemnas or Kurama from Naruto, the nine-tailed fox. I think he also plays Wormmon. But yeah, he was Leomon. Great, just really good voice. Especially for Xemnas. Man sex. Um, Leomon, who informs them of their purpose in the digital world. What at first seems to be a show about children trying to survive being killed by mindless beasts on an island eventually turns into something far more cosmic when they encounter Devimon, a literal incarnation of evil whose cunning and trickery nearly lead to the children's demise. Especially the episode when they think they're staying at this like fancy hotel, but it's actually decrepit and not nice. The children eventually prevail, but only due to an act of divine intervention, Angemon, an ultimate sacrifice. That is such a great episode. Like, Patamon was the only one up until this point who wasn't digivolving. And then when they finally do digivolve, not only is it the coolest digivolution up to that point, but it's a fucking angel. Like, really the only thing that could have taken Devimon down. And like the first time he used Hands of Fate, like Hand of Fate, ha! It's just so good. But Angemon was always kind of like the trump card. Um, you have Angemon beating Devimon. I think wasn't it like Angemon and Angewomon who had to defeat Venomiotismon. You had Magna Angemon who destroyed Piedmon with his Gate of Destiny. I mean, the dude just keeps coming in clutch every single fucking time. Um, but weren't they also in the movie? They like Seraphimon and like, in the movie, it's just they've always been kind of like Agumon and Gabumon, where they had this higher echelon of power. Um, But whereas like Gabumon and Agumon could like warp digivolve anytime they wanted, Angemon or Patamon and Gatomon, not so easy. So when they reach those upper echelons of power, it's because everything else had been tried and nothing else worked. Um, but it was really, really cool. One of the most remarkable aspects of the show is how dedicated the writers were to making the children unique characters rather than caricatures, a distinct measure of humanity, and distilled into each and every child makes their plight compelling. As early as the third episode, what proceeds as a simple night by the lake in a strange new world and being attacked by a sea monster, Seedramon. However, the episodes also include brief campfire scenes where the children have a scuffle, ending one of them privately confessing that his parents are divorced. Are we gonna end up like our parents? Not to mention they constantly show Matt and Ty fighting. You know, it's you have shows like Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, oh well, we can't show these fictional dueling monsters fighting and punching. They show these two punching each other all the goddamn time. So like to watch something like Digimon where these two were constantly punching each other and them showing it to like Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's like it is heavily implied that you are punching me. You know, it made no sense. It made no fucking sense. Um these kinds of developments are not trite either. They are worked in the behaviors of the child into the behaviors of the children with due diligence. The baggage that children carry with with them impacts their behavior and their Digimon partners by extension. Like I think probably one of the biggest was the episode with Skull Greymon. Great episode. You know, Tai being so determined to win that he essentially forces Agumon to digivolve, but then when he does digivolve, he finds that okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. This thing is mindless. It's just a mindless beast that's just attacking everything, not even attacking the enemy at this point. It's just attacking, and all because instead of bonding with Agumon and doing what Agumon wanted and encouraging him, he basically forced Agumon to digivolve. And through that hate and that, you know, just anger, Agumon digivolved to something that was basically hate and anger. Um, and then he kind of realized, you know, like, no, I'm not doing that again. From now on, you know, Agumon, me and you are partners, like legit partners. I'm not going to force you to do anything you don't want to do. I'm going to help you rather than, you know, tell you what to do. Um, but that kind of character development between going from telling Agumon what to do and kind of forcing him to finally realizing like, oh hey, you know, that made me I saw what not only did it probably cause Agumon a lot of pain to go through that, but that just made me feel terrible. You know, I say that Agumon's my best friend, but here I am treating him like this to where he evolves digivolves into this fucking beast. Um so when people think of like Digimon episodes and like character uh progression, you could say, that Skull Greymon episode is definitely one of them because that was a huge moment. That was a huge moment, you know, when you see Agumon about to digivolve and you're like, what the fuck? And then it turns out to be Skull Greymon. And we're like, oh fuck. And then it just starts it just attacks everything. It was insane. Um, but you know, even more compelling is the fact that the children don't always get along with each other, leading to bouts of infighting and that threaten their cohesion. Yeah, like we said, Matt and Ty are constantly fighting. They're like the fucking Sora and Riku. You know, they clearly they're on the same side, but they both have different ways of wanting to go about it. Or the Naruto and Sasuke, the Goku and Vegeta, the you know, there's numerous anime characters that come in pairs where they're both good people, but they both have a different ideological method of doing things. You know, one will believe in compassion while the other believes in just brute force, and you know, among all the shows of the arcs of the show, the first and final are most absurdly bordering on mythological, drawing from classic tropes and merging them with modern aesthetics. The final arc has the children witnessing the digital world on the brink of destruction, as the principalities and powers of the digital world, the Dark Masters, gather in unison to create a twisted monument of nature, technology, and pure darkness. The children are tested to the point that nearly every one of them is left in a state of utter despair, with their only saving grace as divine intervention, Magna Angemon, with his gate of destiny. All culminates in a grand battle against the incarnation of Lucifer himself. Not really. I mean, they have Lucimon. Lucimon is obviously more Lucifer, But this back then was like the big bad, like, oh, we had the devil and this and that. This is like the apocalypse. I mean, Apocalypse. It's the apocalypse. Not really Lucifer, but an amalgamation of Digimon, calling him itself Legion. He is many, chained within the depths of the abyss, and crying out in vengeance of being cast out of, not really. I mean, it doesn't really. This really didn't go into anything like, oh yeah, it had this character. It's like, it had Apocalypse. Okay, well, what did Apocalypse do to make you think that it was, biblical? What if they had like Ragnarokmon? You know, I mean, basically, the apocalypse is an event, so you can't really say this was, biblical. Floodmon. Throughout its history, from season to season, the Digimon TV franchise has repeatedly attempted to reinvent its core premise. Yet Digimon Adventure is a season that started them all, and no other season can compare. I mean, Digimon Adventure 2 was just as good. Like it was just as good, if not better. To this day, the show holds up. Um, much of that must be owed to its mythic good versus evil motif. Again, that's not just Christian. Every religion has good versus evil. Every culture, good versus evil. This isn't just Christian. Like, Japanese, Greek, Egyptian, Indian, every one of these cultures have, mythical figures that are battling this good versus evil conflict. It's not just Christian. It doesn't matter if it's Muslim or Christian or Jewish. Every religion has the same thing. So I chosen children as Christian allegories. The children go on a grand journey that mirrors apostolic missions, including trials, revelations, sacrificial growth. Or it's just called growing up. Each child has a crest: courage, love, hope, etc. that represents a moral virtue akin to the fruits of the spirit. Their Digimon evolve only when the children embody their virtues, reinforcing the concept of spiritual growth as transformative. Moreover, the digital world is a battlefield between light and darkness, with a character like Devimon and Vandemon, embodying demonic archetypes. But again, they have like Sphinxmon. They have like Egyptian gods. They have the narrative frames evil as seductive, corrupting, and ultimately doomed. But that's how everyone frames evil. All in all, it is a classic Christian moral structure. This is why I think all religions are bullshit. The legacy of Digimon Adventure endures not because of monsters or battles. It endures because it speaks quietly and unmistakably in the language of faith, virtue, and redemption. Like, being a good person, helping out other people, wanting to protect your world, that's not Christian. That's just being a decent human being. Am I missing something here? Am I miss? Because again, it does have like Christian like visuals at points, like with Devimon and Angemon. Like I said, they have the archangels, they have the seven deadly sins. But again, they have yokai Digimon, they have Egyptian god Digimon, they have, if there's a culture that have deities, they're Digimon. So I'm like, this person seems like they're no better than the people trying to look for fucking like gay characters or shit like that when there is none. It's just, it's a show for people with kids that are growing up in a harsh situation where they they quickly have to learn the message and meaning of like helping one another and friendship and compassion and this and that, just basic human stuff. It has nothing to do with Christian or Christianity or God or this or that. Anyway, but out of all, I mean, let's just stick with the first two, or let's just stick with the first one. Favorite episode or favorite moment of the first, Digimon adventure. Like I said, I think the moment with Tai kind of forcing Agumon to digivolve. Um, when we see Tai up till that point, he's like, oh, he is caring, but then this episode, he's not himself, and he forces Agumon to digivolve, and then when Agumon does, he's just this mindless killing machine that he's not distinguishing friend from foe. He's just attacking everything. Um, but you also have during the Dark Masters with Matt and Gabumon kind of going off and kind of pulling his Riku. You know, he's like, "Oh, I didn't want to be found," but yeah. Just let me know favorite moment from uh adventure. But anyway, that's gonna do for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.